I don't know who this message is for, but I know it's for somebody. And if it's you, cool. If it isn't, may you be blessed either way. I'm on here today because I'm just about tired of the judgments. I'm tired of the condemnation. And I'm tired of feeling low about life when I do feel low about life and somehow believing it means I am worthless. And if you've ever experienced that in any way, I just want to talk through that. I just want to talk through that. What you might get out this video, what I need to sell you for clickbait, why you should click like, share, subscribe, and follow, I don't even know. Except for that, if this makes sense, use it, apply it, and let's be better for it. The judgments. I've been on an evolutionary process, my own journey, my own endeavors, trying to level up in every way possible. In every way possible to me. Now, the easiest forms have been physically, professionally for me has always been light as far as I know how to dominate that space. Relationally, difficult, married with kids, that's a lot of ebbs and flows. The biggest thing for me has been spiritually. And I have my moments. I have epiphanies. I have moments where I believe I'm in my God space, my God spirit, and in my God form. And I'm quite certain I'm coming off of that right now. And the message delivered to me as I was moving along, trying to make sense of life in somewhat of a low, was just feeling a little low. I realized as I was going through this period, I was judging myself. I looked at a lot of the areas I just talked about, and while I feel very successful relative, while I've made progress relative, I just was in a pattern and a rhythm right now of questioning. Why haven't you made more progress? Why haven't you seen a deeper evolution? Why do you seem stuck in some of these places? And the natural insecurities, the self-doubt, the badgering, and I get belligerent. I don't know about you, but in my mind, I start getting real crazy. And I start saying things that it can be quite the experience. I'll say that. And so it got me to thinking as I was judging. You're just being a little lazy. Stop procrastinating. Stop being weak. Stop with the excuses. And a lot of that could be true. And if you're listening and that's you, that's cool. But that's not my message for you. My message for you about the judgments are really only you should judge you. Only you can judge you. Only you really know you. And here's the quagmire, if you would. If you find yourself triggered by messages and content and the possibilities of maybe you're living a weak life. Maybe you're living a too safe life. Maybe you're a little lazy and procrastinating. All those things. At some point, you either are or you aren't. You know. And that should suffice. And honestly, because I'm just like you, and I have those ups and those downs, and I have those days where I clearly put out a lot more and receive a lot more, and days when I question my existence, there's nothing unique about me or anyone else to think that we all experience it. Now, if you find yourself low and you're staying there, then at some point you have to make a decision consciously that you're going to keep doing it or you're not. And if you want out, then you have to start with knowing where you are. Because the reality is this: you're always going to be tired. You're never going to have enough time. And you're only built to do today what you've been doing for however long you've been doing what you're doing. And if it means you've been procrastinating for the last decade, or overeating, or watching too many things and inputting content that doesn't provide you value, then that's just what it is. You only have the time to keep doing that. Any implications around breaking free from that to try to make yourself a little better is just going to make you more tired, because you're not built to put in any extra effort over sustained periods. That's just what it is. So the reality comes down to, if you seek to make a change, you're going to be tired. You're not going to have enough time. You're not going to really know what to do. You're going to suffer from analysis by paralysis. You're going to fall on your face. You're going to look silly. All those things that are somewhat trendy and cliche. The reason why they're messaged so strongly and consistently is because that's what happens. That's just what it is. So you have to know where you are. And why this resonated with me deeply is because I had a conversation recently with someone who's only in their 50s. He's 56. I'm 43 for context. And I hadn't spoke to this person in a couple of months. Somebody who's very close to me, but I just, I speak to people. That's just the way my life is now. Sometimes we don't talk for months. It could be a year for some people. In any event, we go through the how you doing, what's good, all that other good stuff. And he says to me, Jeff, man, I'm tired. I'm old. My body hurts. And I don't know sometimes. I don't know sometimes. And the context for how we got into this conversation outside of how you doing was, I said to him, man, I've been doing a lot of studying of people randomly. I'll just walk out to the market, or I'll take my walks, or I'll be at a soccer game with the kids, or doing something where there's people, and I'll just watch people. And I know how that sounds. Don't judge me. Just stay with me. And one of the things I'm looking for is I try to assess. First of all, I like to know my surroundings, and that's just part of how I was brought up. I think there's a certain level of street smarts. So I assess who might be a threat, who's not a threat. Even though I live in an environment where there's almost relatively no crime, it's still in my nature. In any event, the biggest thing I think of is, I wonder what people are thinking. And sometimes the conclusion I might come to is, I don't think this person's thinking, because I watch them move, and I watch what it seems that they're paying attention to. I watch what they seem to not be seeing, and I just think you can't be thinking. And so I got into the conversation around that context with this gentleman I was speaking to, 56, old, body feels broken, etc. And he said, I know what you're talking about, Jeff, because sometimes I find myself just sitting down in a space where I don't even know if I'm thinking. I forget what I'm thinking, and I start choking on my spit randomly. I'm not doing nothing. I'm not overexerting myself. I'm not really distracted by nothing. I'm just sitting there. I start choking on my spit, and I'm like, dude, what is that? I don't know. But such is what happens when you continue your routines and patterns of whatever routines and patterns you're involved in. And that's how you get these motivational people telling you to stop being so lazy, stop being so mindless, and do something for yourself. Now, what I really wanted to leave you with, as far as the highs, the lows, the in-betweens, and if you really want to make a move for yourself to try to do something different and just level up, however you want to level up, man. And sometimes leveling up is not attaining things. It's just feeling better, because the highs of feeling great are great. My walk. As I was on my walk, I passed by an abandoned, at least what appeared to be an abandoned home. And immediately, part of my evolution emotionally is I really, really have gotten in tune with when I start to experience something emotionally. I really process it and feel it. And I place myself in the space to understand what that might feel like. So I passed by this abandoned home, and it looked like a split level home. Wasn't huge. Maybe it looked like, based on the amount of windows I saw, it was blue, and it stretched out with a backyard, looked like a floor and a half to it. And the entire property, as you walk by the front, was full of dirt. The house itself had trees and stuff overlapping it. And as you proceeded towards the back, it did have a backyard. And the backyard hit me a little different, because in the backyard, I could see a table. And it wasn't like a small round table for two. It was a table with 6 chairs around it. Saw a little tricycle on the side. Saw a little shed. I saw a grill. I saw a hammock. And in and around all these things were a lot of dirt, a lot of debris. The concrete, because the floor was concrete, had a lot of weeds and trees growing out of it. And the environment in its entirety, while it had some things that implied someone lived here, was again abandoned. So as I processed it, I started to wonder, man, what could have happened? I hope your mind goes places, right? Maybe someone lost their job. Maybe someone split. Maybe there was a divorce. Maybe there was a separation. Maybe somebody died. All these things, right? I'm human. You just start thinking. All these things start going through. And as I'm really starting to process this deeper and deeper and deeper, I realized that the abandoned home, by definition, is still a home. It just happens to be full and filled with a lot of dirt, debris, and things covering everything that would allow it to be a functioning home. And regardless of how it got there, that was the main takeaway for me that hit me deep in my soul, which was clearly at some point, this was a standard home. If you remove the debris and the dirt and the trees and all the weeds and everything surrounding it, and you cleaned up that house, you get a very livable, functional home with people sharing life. And as I let that marinate, process, and hit me into the deepest depths of my soul, it got me to thinking about when I feel high and when I feel low, and that the ignoring of what that emotional experience is as a person and how it might tie you into whatever life you're tied into today can put you in an inner situation, an inner environment in your spirit that is fully functioning, still has the bells and whistles, can still perform the functions it needs to perform, but for whatever the reason, for whatever the experience, for whatever might have happened or might have not happened, it's filled with debris and dirt and a whole bunch of greenery covering what could be a very simple, very productive, and very loving living space, which is just you and everything about you. So how could it be, as we look to expand and become and rid ourselves of the judgments that make us feel the way judgments make us feel, how do we rid ourselves of the debris? How do we ensure that when we're walking outside in a seemingly all good kind of way, portraying to the world what we believe we should portray to the world in order to get by in the world, that we could be rotting on the inside by ignoring what we already know, which is you're going to be tired, you definitely don't have enough time, and it's always going to be on you, regardless of what I or anyone else has to say about it. Take it for what it's worth. I know this is for somebody. Change your mind, change your life. I am who I say I am. Do you and stay rich.